What is up, guys? I want to welcome you to this Do Not Wildcard video in FPL, where instead of making a Game Week 2 wildcard team for you, I'm actually going to explain to you all why a Game Week 2 wildcard is in fact just not a good idea at all. I don't think anyone should use the Game Week 2 wildcard. I don't care if you've got players like Diaby in your team. I don't care if you've got people who have moved to the fucking Chinese league, okay? You do not wildcard in Game Week 2, and I'm going to give you 4 reasons why I believe that's the case. Reason number 1, guys, we don't know the meta. We don't know the most effective tactic available when picking these premiums, when picking these budget players, okay? Based off Game Week 1, guys, the 2 premiums to own are Salah and Saka, and the 2 bad premiums are Palmer and Son. Now, maybe in 5 game weeks' time, it could be the complete opposite way around, and you've already used your wild card to bring in Saka and Son. It could be an awful idea, leaving you behind so many other players. That's why I think it's just much better to be patient. And this is the same for your budget players as well, guys. I mean, you pick some Brighton players maybe that have done really well in Game Week 1, but they drop stinkers for the next 4 game weeks, and you're just stuck with them in your team when other people have players like Eze and Muniz and Nkunku, who could all be very reliable, good players. Some players you may already have in your team that you'd be wanting to sell for almost no reason. Another piece of data that's missing from only 1 game week is regular starters, guys. Some people didn't get much of a preseason. They're not getting many minutes. Some people need easing into games more than others. You know, for example, Nkunku, people might be looking to transfer out Nkunku right now because he only played 58 minutes and he only got 1 point. But for all we know, next game week he could play the full 90 and get a couple goal involvements. We just don't know. And if you wildcard, you're probably going to be inclined to bring out Nkunku because of his 1-pointer, which I think is an awful idea. You may as well hold on to all your players you think are bad for at least a few more game weeks. Then you deploy your wildcard, because right now there is nowhere near enough data available for you to make good decisions. Your decisions will be just as bad, or should I say just as good, as your Game Week 1 team decisions, okay? You don't know anything more than you did before Game Week 1 started. So yeah, overview. Reason 1, there's not enough data available for you to choose your players, okay? I make almost all of my decisions based off the expected data, the expected goals, the shots in the box, the expected assists, the big chances created, you know, teams expected clean sheets, teams expected goals conceded. I'll use it all, and it's very useful, okay? So guys, that's reason number 1. There's not enough data available to be picking all your players. Reason number 2 is that it's a lot harder to navigate an early wildcard, because when you wildcard early, you're most likely going to have to wait at least another 20 game weeks to use your second wildcard. And sometimes that is a normal time to wait from going one wildcard to the other. But I'm telling you guys right now, it's a lot harder to maintain. You can make a wrong decision. You can get a few players who are getting injured, and without having that wild card to fall back on safely, you've got no option other than to take hits, okay? If you make 3 or 4 wrong decisions in your game week's your wild card, that's a -12 or a -16 you're going to have to go through just to catch up to all other players who haven't even used their wild card yet. That's another big reason why you should just keep it in the locker, okay? Even if your team is god awful. For example, I've got Matoma in the picture here, right? He had a great game week 1. He got the most expected goals and he got a decent score. The problem is, if you pick Matoma, and there's other people out here with Eze and Kunku and Leon Bailey who are all doing so much better, which could easily be the case, you're using a wild card, the most powerful chip in the game, just to set yourself back. It's not worth the risk. You should save this chip because it is so powerful. You could even do the same with maybe even Danny Welbeck, 12-pointer, decent expected data. Guys, is Danny Welbeck going to start every game? No. Why is that? Because Ever Ferguson is going to come back. You've got many people that can play striker, even Pedro. So yeah, another reason it's hard to navigate is because at the end of season, when you want to use a chip strategy, a wild card 2 is usually perfect for your chip strategy, guys. But your wild card 1 being played in game week 2 is 99% likely to force you to play your wild card 2 early, probably as soon as you can get it, because you basically haven't even used a wild card. If you use your wild card in game week 2, imagine it like this. Instead of having 2 wild cards and 1 free hit in an FPL season, you've had 2 free hits, with your first free hit being game week 1 and only 1 wild card, okay? That's all it is, guys. You do not want to substitute a free hit for a wild card. I don't know if what I'm saying makes sense, but you only had your game week 1 team for 1 game week before you wild card. That is just a free hit, and an awful free hit at that if your team's not even gone well. Now, this final point on reason 2 is actually going to lead us into reason 3, because I think having no chip strategy is not the way to go in FPL, and I'm going to explain to you why. So first of all, you're going to have a weak end of season run compared to other players. People who are going to use their wild card right before a bench boost double game week, then use their free hit right before the double game week right after. They're going to get so many points in the final few game weeks. If you have no wild card in your chip strategy, you are going to be 10 times worse off than someone who does. Even if someone's using their wild card in game week 34 or game week 35, they can use that right before a bench boost, like I just said. With you and your no wild card, okay, you're going to be stuck there with only 7 or 8 bench boost players, while everyone else who was patient is going to have 15 and they're going to be ready to free hit straight after. Okay, that brings me on to my next point of reason 3. No wildcard 2 for your chip strategy also weakens your free hit and your bench boost, because the wildcard 2, the bench boost, and the free hit all tie in so nicely together because they work out. You can attack a double game week, then the game week after, when all your players are blanking, you can use the free hit. Then you can wildcard off into the final few game weeks of the season. There's so many things you can do when you have a wildcard 2. But without it, your bench boost is weaker. Your free hit will probably still be the same, but you may be using it on a game week where you wouldn't want to. And ideally, you'd save it for a more powerful game week. Like, you may be forced to use your free hit on a blank game week of only 6 to 7 games being played, when you want to save it for a game week where there's 5 teams having a double game week. And to be honest, guys, I couldn't think of a third reason on this one. Yeah, so, and obviously I got my boy Sir Alex in the graphic because this is about how you play as a manager, not the players you're picking, okay? Think smart, use your chips wisely. Heading on to reason 4 now, guys, which is another huge reason. It's all about the fixture swings, okay? When you use a wild card at the right time, you can pick up players who are about to go on a run of 5 or 6 games where it's just green fixture after green fixture, relegation team after relegation team, or even dead end your plays before a wild card. For example, Arsenal, game week 6, 7, and 8, play 2 relegation teams at home, and then I think they play Bournemouth away or something. Arguably the best 3 games in a row of the entire FPL season. So you can dead end your team with a few free transfers into 3 Arsenal players. And as soon as their fixtures get hard around game week 9, when that short fixture run has ended, you can wildcard them all out of your team. And it's perfect in so many other places. For example, Man City, Man United, Brentford, Everton, all go on insane fixture runs. And while you're there already having played your wildcard, there's going to be other players out here who are going to be using it to target these fixtures, and they're just going to gain so much on you, okay? Patience is a key thing here. Your mini league rivals, they save their wildcard and you've already used it around game week 6 to game week 9. You're toast. You're finished, because they're going to gain so many points on random players like Wissa for Brentford, maybe even Tarkowski for Everton, just random players that they can easily bring in because of their wild card. And you just can't make those sort of moves. Another thing about fixture runs is you don't actually know which teams are good and which teams are bad yet. Sort of. I mean, for example, Everton had a good defense last season. It could be the case, like going into game week 10, Everton having one of the worst defenses in the league, and they're a team you really want to target with your attacking players. You don't know that yet because it's only game week 2. But if you've saved it for game week 9 or 10, you can target those fixtures and get loads of points out of it by looking at the expected goals conceded, looking at the expected clean sheets. You can see the worst defenses in the league and pick players against that team to go get you a big haul. So yeah, that's all 4 reasons, guys. So if you're seeing people out there trying to convince you to use a game week 2 wildcard because your team doesn't look good, please ignore these people. They don't want you to succeed. I believe no matter how bad your team is, you just got to save it for a few more game weeks, because you can get so much more out of it. You can understand, you can know so much more with all the data available. Yeah. So guys, if you're one of those people who wants the wild card, please don't. I'm trying to help you out here. So yeah, overall, not enough data, harder to maintain a good team, no good chip strategy at the end of the season, and you can't target the fixture swings. Those are the 4 main reasons why you should not be hitting that wildcard button in game week 2. Guys, make sure you're liking and subscribing to this video. It would be very much appreciated. Let me know what you think of my opinions on the game week 2 wildcard. Do you agree? Do you also think it's a terrible, terrible idea? Or are you, a fan of it? Do you like wasting chips? Let me know, guys. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one.